Hey guys, how you doing? It's Imogen here. I'm very sorry I am a day late uploading my video because I left my job on Friday and then on Saturday I was pretty hungover and then on Sunday I ate a lot of food. So yeah, I guess I could say life got in the way? Yeah? So today I'm going to be reviewing for you The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. This is my absolute book of the winter, book of autumn, just scrumptious book of the most recent whatever. I love it. It is gothic adult fiction, a little bit of historical, a little bit of horror thrown in there. It is totally 100% not my genre, but I love it. I love it. I loved it more than any book I've read recently. I could not put it down. Could not stop reading it, could not stop recommending it. I've been posting it all over my Instagram and Twitter because I just want to keep recommending it to you guys. You need to read it. I need somebody to discuss this with. And if you won't do it, I'm gonna have to like force some people on the street to read it and like kidnap them until they read it. So I have somebody to talk to about it. So, this book is set in three perspectives. We have St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's is the psychiatric hospital that Elsie, our lead character, finds herself in at the very, very start of the book. This is 1 or 2 years after the Bridge chapters, which is our second perspective, and that is what to me felt like the modern day, even though I know it's not. The chapters all about the Bridge are the story unfolding and how Elsie came to be in St. Joseph's Asylum. It's an interesting one because it seems that Elsie's doctor in the psychiatric hospital, basically Elsie couldn't speak when she arrived there, so in order to get her to come to terms with what's happened and find out what's wrong with her, so he gets her to write down the story as if it wasn't her it happened to. So as if I went to get a cheese sandwich and I said, Imogen went to buy a cheese sandwich. I love cheese sandwiches. But that's what the Bridge 1965 chapters are all about. They are how the story happened, how Elsie got to be in St. Joseph's, and they are written by her while she is in the hospital, which is why it keeps jumping backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, but in a really smooth, neat, easy to understand way. We then also have a third perspective, and these are the diaries of Elsie's late husband. So, like I said, we have three core characters. We have Elsie, the lady of the house, the newly widowed woman. We have Jolyon, who is Elsie's brother. And then we also have Sarah, who is the companion of Elsie, who basically happens to be a cousin of Elsie's late husband. Now, Elsie's late husband's family, or Sarah's family, owned the Bridge, and they have always owned it, but they've never really lived in it, and it's a bit creepy and you're not quite sure why they've never really lived in it. It does become clear later on, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. But basically, at the start of the book, or as Elsie goes on to describe it in her story to the doctor in the hospital, this is getting confusing, but bear with me, you basically find out that Elsie's husband, or late husband, went ahead of her to the Bridge, which is their historical family home, to get it ready for Elsie to move into because she was with child, as they said in the Victorians. So while Master Rupert is there, or Rupert, Elsie's late husband, while he's at the Bridge, he happens to die, and it's not really clear why. So we join Elsie as she is on the way to the Bridge to move there with Sarah and with Jolyon. This isn't really something that she wants to do. She loves living in London, but it's something that she has to do, unfortunately. Anyway, once she gets there, stuff starts to get weird, and that's when the third perspective really comes into play. So the third perspective is Rupert's ancestor, and it's her diaries. So Sarah finds these diaries behind a doorway that is locked, and if you've read the blurb to this book, you will see that there is a door at the back of the house that is locked and no one goes into it. And basically, I think of it as the attic, or where the servants could have lived if Elsie had her way, I think. But anyway, so as Elsie begins to live in the house and Sarah's reading these diaries and we're also reading the diaries at the same time. So that's something I really loved about this book. You're only discovering things as fast as the characters are. There's nothing, you can't tease bits of knowledge from other elements. You are literally discovering absolutely everything at the same time as absolutely everybody in here. From the Doctor to Elsie to Sarah to not Rupert but a little bit Jolien, you are discovering everything at the same time as them, and I love that. It's super interesting. Anyway, this video is not in any way taking on a format in any way. I can barely keep track of what I'm saying. Are you guys not confused? I'm super confused. Okay. Long story short, Elsie has been living in the bridge for a little bit and things start to get a little bit weird. And they find these wooden, like, statue people, like, just wooden statue people. And one is in the garret, which is where they find the diaries. And they don't know what to do with it. They think it looks a bit creepy. It's basically, it's a flat wooden life-size picture of a person. But it looks 3D and it's basically there to trick people, and that's why it was originally brought into the house, so that the historical family who lived in the bridge could scare the Queen when she came to visit. And because this is a horror gothic fiction book, these lovely companions, as we call them, start to move, and they start to get up and disappear around the house, and no one's quite sure if the servants are moving them, if Elsie's going a little bit crazy. No one really knows why, and that's kind of where the story starts, and where the story starts to get really, really, really good. I don't want to spoil it for you, and I'm basically gonna stop it there, because I think that's enough waffling from me, and I would usually do another bit now, which is like spoiler related, because I want to discuss it with people. However, if you're anything like me, occasionally you like to spoil books for yourself by watching on a video. So I am not going to give you that option, people. I am not giving it to you. You have to go and read this book. I am not giving you the option of going and reading ahead and spoiling it and finding out what happens to Elsie. You have to go and read it. Find out why she's in that psychiatric hospital. Does she get out? Does Sarah end up in there with her? What happens to Jolien? Does anybody die? It's a bit of a spoiler, but quite a few people do die. Anyway, I cannot wait to hear what you guys think of this. I absolutely adored it. It got 5 out of 5. It is my ultimate recommended read of the winter, and we're only in mid-November. I know. So yeah, let me know what you think, guys, and I cannot wait to discuss with you. Bye.